All right, my friends, so I'm going to make a prediction. Give me a thumbs up if this is you, right? I'm going to make a prediction. You're just like me. You look at your overall financial statement, your balance sheet, if you will, and you say you have more equity in your home than you have liquid financial assets, which includes all your IRAs, your 401ks, your brokerage accounts, your bank accounts, and whatnot. I'm going to make a prediction. You are just like me. I have much more equity in my home than I have in investment accounts. And the reason I know that, and the reason I can say I'm going to predict you are like that, in fact, again, give me a thumbs up if that's you. Put a thumbs up on the thing if you have more equity in your home than you have investment accounts. If you have more equity, investment accounts than equity in your home, give me a thumbs down. Neither of those will hurt me in terms of the algorithm, so don't worry about it. I'm just curious. But I have a sneaky suspicion you have more equity in your home. And the reason we know this, I was reading a Scott Burns article. Now, I've talked about Scott just a couple days ago, as a matter of fact, and I was pleasantly surprised to see Scott Burns is on the reverse mortgage train. In fact, he says we're just entering into the age of the reverse mortgages, and I actually think that's 100% right. Now, I'm not going to sit here and speak for Scott Burns that he's all into reverse mortgages. He did an article titled The Dark Side of a Reverse Mortgage too, but Scott, by and large, recognized, like Willie Sutton, you go where the money is, and Scott says the action is in home equity, because home equity, there's like as of the end of 2015, there's $17 trillion or something like that in home equity, and only $8 trillion in retirement assets. He might have been saying all assets, I can't remember. But anyways, the equity dwarfs the financial assets by far. It's not even close. And so if you're just the average Joe and Bob, or Bob and Jane, married couple, you got a house, $225,000 is the asset value. You got $130,000 in a 401k and IRA. You maybe have $50,000 on your mortgage. So you got $200,000 of equity in your home. You got $150,000 of retirement assets. In fact, I bet that is even on the high side. I bet most of you have less than $150,000, and that's not a disparaging comment at all. It's just the nature of the beast. But you have more equity in your home, and you have less liquid assets in your accounts. And you're sitting there thinking, I can't retire. I can't retire. Well, just to quote Scott Burns, you go to where the action is, and you go to where the assets are, and the assets are in your home. So not to consider a reverse mortgage, and frankly, I was pleasantly surprised to hear not only Scott Burns, but Charles Ellis cite assets and your equity in your home too, and talk about the benefits of reverse mortgage. I was very pleasantly surprised to hear both these guys. I thought they would have been on the Dave Ramsey bandwagon, that reverse mortgages are evil, and they weren't. So let me just tell you what I plan on doing. Wherever I end up, when I'm 62 years old, I'm getting a reverse mortgage line of credit. And reverse mortgages are actually called HECMs nowadays, a home equity conversion mortgage. I'm getting a reverse mortgage line of credit when I'm 62. Whether I tap it at that point or not, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It depends on how my financial assets are and whatnot. But I will get one at that point. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm either going to draw from my IRA, draw from my Roth, or draw from my home equity conversion mortgage, my reverse mortgage, to defer taking Social Security. That's exactly what I'm going to do. If I still have a debt on my home, I'll do a reverse mortgage in order to pay off that debt. And the imputed income there, this is, I cannot stress this enough. You have to have a place to live, all right? So shelter costs something. That's just a fact. So you're going to live someplace. You're going to pay for that somehow. So if you have a mortgage, that means you need to generate a certain amount of money every year in which to pay for that mortgage, which means that is also included in your AGI, your just gross income. So for simplicity, you have a $2,500 mortgage. We'll just use that for example. That means you need to generate $30,000 a year in income in which to pay that mortgage. If you're married filing jointly and you're under the age of 65, that means you have $5,000 roughly of taxable income right there. So it's going to cost you $500 a year, just federal income tax, in which to pay for that mortgage. Now, obviously, you're going to need more than $30,000 a year because you got to live. You need food, you need utilities and whatnot, but you can see how that goes. So the facts are, with that mortgage, you are going to give yourself taxable income. Without a mortgage, you don't need that $30,000. That means you will not have to pay that $500, which is the imputed income you get to live without having to generate the income in which to pay tax on it, in which to pay your mortgage. That's the benefit of imputed income. Without the mortgage, you have tax-free income, essentially, that you don't need to declare, but you still have the house. Does that make sense? That's why having a reverse mortgage is such a big deal, or no mortgage at all is such a big deal, because you no longer need to generate the income in which to pay for your property, which is taxable to you. It's weird how many people don't get that. They don't understand the value of imputed income. It's too bad, because imputed income is huge. So now you don't need to generate $30,000 a year to pay the mortgage, which means it won't be subject to income tax, which means the other $30,000 a year that you have to live on, you won't have to generate that on top of the $30,000 a year for the mortgage, in which to pay income tax, in which to pay the mortgage, and in which to pay the food and utility bill and all that. So now you just need to generate $30,000 a year, but you're living as if you're generating $60,000 a year because you don't have the mortgage, right? So now you're generating $30,000 a year. It's going to cost you $500 in taxes, and that is to pay for your house because your house is paid for. That's to cover your food, your utilities, all that stuff. So me sitting next to you, you have a $30,000 a year income need. I have a $60,000 a year income need because I got to pay my mortgage. Who's in a better financial position? But Josh, the guy who, and that's if the mortgage is paid off, but a reverse mortgage literally pays off the payment that you have to generate in which, come on buddy, in which to pay that mortgage. So not only are you not having to generate the cash flow in which to pay the mortgage, pay the debt, you don't have to generate the cash flow in which to pay the taxes in which to pay that debt. It's a huge deal, man, huge. And so that means you can live just as well on $30,000 as I could on $60,000, but you're going to live better because you don't have to pay the taxes. And in fact, when you factor in $60,000, if I'm married filing jointly, I'm in the 12% tax bracket, so I'll have 10% on the first 19. I'll have to pay $1,900 in taxes, 12% on the next 28, because I guess it's what, 37%, something like that, or next 20, I can't remember. Anyway, I'll have to pay, say, $4,000 in taxes to generate $60,000 to live on. You'll have to pay $500 in taxes to generate $30,000 to live on, and we're both living in the exact same way, except I have to pay a whole lot less tax. It's nuts. Now, I could always, if I didn't take a reverse mortgage to pay off my debt, I can also borrow, take a home equity conversion mortgage to get the cash flow in which to live on as well. So now I can say, okay, I can still live on $30,000 a year or $60,000 a year. $30,000 of that would be tax-free. I'm just using that for an example, whatever. You're probably not going to get $2,500 a month on a reverse mortgage, but just for simplicity, I can still live off that. It'll be tax-free because reverse mortgage is literally payment of principal, which is tax-free. It's a return of capital, just like an annuity. If you do an annuity, and you're going to get what's called an exclusion ratio. Exclusion ratio is how much of that is return of principal and how much of that is interest. And if you have the higher the exclusion ratio, the less income tax you have to pay on the annuity. Anyway, that's a big deal, man. That's a big deal. So if you got more equity in your home, then you have liquid assets. And this is what Scott Burns says too, which is so spot on. What do you not have to worry about crashing in the sequence of return risk? You don't have to worry about a reverse mortgage, all right, because it is what it is. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You know exactly how much you have access to, and you have a pretty good gauge that you're eating into your equity. I get that. But now the market falls 55% as it did in 2008. So your $150,000 for Bob and Mary Jane, or whatever the names were, I forgot what I said, is now worth 150, 50, that's $70,000. And they're still needing to take $6,000 a year off that portfolio. So now they're taking $6,000 off a $70,000 portfolio as opposed to $6,000 off a $150,000 portfolio. It's a big difference, man. So where are they sitting here today? They're in a world of hurt. but I don't want to touch the equity in my home. You know, no one's forcing you to do that. But if that's all you got is $150,000, $200,000 equity, to simply say, I'm not tapping in the equity, I'm going to allow the markets do their thing because some guy at Fidelity gave me Monte Carlo that says I'm good to go. I find that to be crazy talk. Now, the scary thing about reverse mortgage is I could easily see financial advisors who charge assets under management touting them because they get to keep assets that they charge fees on. I can see that. And I don't necessarily blame them. And I wouldn't say they're doing that being nefarious. But I could easily see, hey, you know, don't take out $50,000 from us, Mrs. Smith. You should take a reverse mortgage. That'd be my concern. If you're paying an investment manager assets under management fee, and all of a sudden he's touting the benefits of reverse mortgage, in which to keep your assets invested so he could charge you 1 or 1.5. That bothered me some. But anyway, at the end of the day, the fact that Scott Burns, Charles Ellis, Wade Pfau, lots of righteous dudes in the business are touting the benefits of reverse mortgage. I think they need to be considered again, because the simple facts are that is where the money is. It's not in your retirement accounts. It's in the equity in your home. There's absolutely no reason to eat ramen noodles while you're sitting on $200,000 of equity. All right, we'll see you.